Hey, Recording One students. All right, so in this series here of videos for fall break, I am going to take you through the production process. This is kind of like the process of producing a full-length album, but it applies to singles, it applies to all sorts of other music production as well. And this is just demystifying the process, sharing some concepts and vocab words with you, and probably be good to take some notes. This will be on quiz 4. So first, let's just start with breaking down what is production, especially of an album, and let's break down the 3 stages of production. So you've got tracking, you've got an A and a B here because there's 2 specific parts of tracking that we'll get to in the next video. So you got tracking, mixing, and mastering. So tracking is recording, right? Because we've got tracks in Pro Tools. Tracking is just the vocab word for the recording phase. So you're just getting all the raw elements down, you're recording all the instruments, recording the performance. And there's 2 stages of tracking. We'll talk about that in the next video. And then you've got mixing. Mixing is then you're still in your one Pro Tools session of your one song each, right? So each song on an album will have its own session. Within the session, you're going to start balancing the volumes. You're going to use EQ on each individual track. You're going to pan each individual track. That's some of what we get into in mixing is after it's all been recorded, we are now mixing it to get the right balance of everything to have it sound right. Mastering is the 3rd phase, especially with an album, in which everything kind of gets finished. It's the final stage, brings it up to radio volume. It makes sure everything is cohesive with EQ and volume across the whole album. And mastering is the final step to getting a professional sound for your song. So with this 3-stage process, I always love to use the metaphor that it's like, if you know pottery, so in the pottery process, you have the sculpting process, right? You're taking chunks of clay and putting them together. Well, that's tracking. In mixing, you're taking like fine tools, maybe a little scalpel tools, and creating the details, right? Your mixing is shaping it, maybe using different tools to shape it to be exactly the shape you want it. So you guessed it, mastering would be putting the piece of pottery in the kiln, right? Firing it, printing it, making sure that it's the final version, and you're creating like a master that will be used across the board. So now that we've talked about the 3 processes, let's get into tracking.